Perfect.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, just happened.
Okay.
Amazing. Great. But yeah, I mean, that kind of leads us to our discussion today, which is like, I just want to keep it like nice, short and sweet. But yeah, just basically gain more insight into exactly this, like what is the what's the importance of having like human relationships and human connections over treating people like a number, and like what makes you guys click, what made you falling up from the first sight, even if you want to say it that way, as client and accountant.
Well, I can give you a bit of background. So obviously I know Matt from before, so we're slightly different to perhaps the normal relationship, if you like, with an accountant and a business owner, because we go back a lot further than Matt starting his business. And so we sort of been talking. Well, actually, we didn't have like a super close relationship when we worked together at a previous company. But I think, Matt's business kind of brought us further together, and we have a shared passion for kind of what he's doing, as well as kind of being friends outside of that. So, I mean, I guess maybe just something like maybe Matt will give you a bit of an idea as to maybe what he was looking for, or what he sees in, the way that I have the relationship I have with him in terms of what he's looking for as a founder. I feel very strongly about developing those relationships of just like caring about him on a personal level, and then the business is kind of like, yeah, and also I'm a great accountant, rather than I'm an accountant, do you want to work with me, and here are the services, and okay, you want to talk to me, okay, well, is that in the proposal, right? We've got X amount of time. It's definitely more freeform than that.
Yeah, well, and for me it was a combination of things. Yes, we had the relationship from a previous business that we're working at, but also that I could see that Dave was very tech forward, which really resonated with me and what I was trying to build, and also sort of the experience as well that he had working with other startups. And I think the tech has allowed him to then give more of his time to talk like we're talking now, and be able to, yeah, I mean, I was very fresh going into sort of the business world, as sort of starting my own startup, and so asking lots of questions, and he was able to help me out with a lot of the sort of early stuff.
How was your experience from me? Like, what had you had any experience before of accountants, Matt? Like, what was your expectation before, obviously? Because I mean, you sort of obviously realized that, I mean, because when I first met Matt, I wasn't in practice. And so there was sort of, I guess, you may initially not have realized that I even provide this service. You knew me as an accountant, but it's like, do you actually do stuff, but what was your perception of maybe what experience you'd get from an accountant outside of how it's been?
The only stuff I had to go off really was kind of what I was seeing from friends and family members as well. And it all just seemed quite standoffy. It wasn't that, it was kind of like, it was all via email. And I mean, for the most part, it was sort of your self-assessment stuff. I sort of had experience of that, and very personal relationship or anything. It was quite basic. It was like basic packages all the time. So that's what I was kind of expecting to get I didn't have loads of money to spend, so I was expecting just a very sort of standoff relationship via email, intermittent conversations. I guess that was my expectation.
And how did working with Dave change that for you? So like, what is it that you currently have within your relationship that you didn't expect at all from a relationship with an accountant?
Yeah, I guess it was everything from the beginning. Like Dave uses the green screen to sort of present. Like that was the first thing I seen. I was like,
I did back in the day. The green screen's gone now, but yeah, well, there was.
But like, that was the first thing that you showed me. Then I was like, okay, this is a different way of accounting. Like, it's going to be a lot more, being able to talk me through it, and literally point to what it is that you're talking about, and just talk me through the accounts. And I guess that's kind of it really, is to be able to not just receive like monthly accounts, but actually be able to jump onto Zoom and talk through it and understand it in more detail.
It's a fluid conversation, isn't it? I think that's the thing, is we, for any client I work with, it's just, we could end up talking about nothing to do with accounting, but it still has value for you because, I'm working across, for instance, Matt is one of a number of e-commerce businesses I work with, and then there's tech businesses I work with, but they all have, similarities, some of the pain points that they have. And so we may not necessarily talk about accounting. It could be something to do with a problem you got with a supplier or a particular piece of tech you're using or how you're managing your marketing budgets. And I think that's something that, without having the fluidity in the conversations, whether it be Zoom or instant messaging or sometimes email, all of these things have benefits, but it's about using those tools in the right way. And then also you alluded to video to create, as fluid a conversation and as many opportunities to understand what it is that you want to know, what you want to talk about. We just came off a call just now, we've just been talking about his accounts and, I'm going to ping them to you afterwards. But my focus immediately is on how are they going to be useful to you and how is he going to feed back to me what he wants to then talk about within those accounts. So, my initial mindset is make sure you go onto that link and you start commenting on the sheet like I showed you to do. So we have a process with the accounts now where he'll be commenting on the face of that Google kind of PDF where he wants to follow up and have another conversation, and then we'll pick that up and that's what we'll do. And that'll be easy to do because it's not rigid. It's yeah, sure, let's pick it up on, chat, or, we can do it via the Google interface, or we can pick up a web call. But we've got lots of different options to just make sure that I'm picking up as much as I can in terms of what the needs are. And it just, without being in person, it's just about providing as many different ways to maximize the feeling that, the experience that we could be having in person.
Yeah. So having a lot of different touch points helps a lot to keep that caring, nourishing relationship rather than just, treat it simply a business.
Exactly. And that is a difficulty sometimes for accountants, that they like to process drive things and they like to have a specific way they work with things. But sometimes a Zoom is really nice. Sometimes just a message is fine. Sometimes, it particularly when you're doing management accounts, it makes most sense to literally circle the thing that you want to talk about and write on it. So, I think I could probably, after the more recent experiences of really focusing on communication and how I do it right, how I think it should be done best, but it's constantly evolving. The way we communicate, the way we use technology, the way we interface into the digital world, and many people know that I'm very passionate about that, is constantly evolving. And I just think we need to stay curious beyond emails, which is great. That was forward-thinking communication 20 years ago, but the world has evolved and there are different ways we can communicate to maximize those interactions. Wow, that sounds really formal, doesn't it? And business chatty, but that's the reality. It is, it's just it just, you don't think about it. You just go, oh yeah, it just feels right to do it, just catch up on a web call, or feels right just to send a little message right now, or maybe this feels right to send an email because I want it to be something that he can store and refer back to, and maybe whatever. But I do try and avoid them, to be fair.
Yeah. So it's meeting your client, which is also your friend, exactly where they are. So making sure where can I meet them in order for this to be done, in the most humanized manner, but also make the most out of the situation as well.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm just maybe a quick one from Matt. How would you feel if compared to how we do things now, we've kind of did the ad hoc kind of Zooms and been able to collaborate on the sort of Google Workspace, versus an email relationship? What I assume that probably wouldn't be ideal for you. I know, I'm sort of almost preempting what you're going to say, but it's, as a fast growing startup, what are the difficulties of working that way for you?
Yeah, it would be the lack of sort of agility. I think time would pass, and say I wanted to make a change to the monthly accounts, I wanted it to be reported in a different way, and the way that we communicate at the moment, we can implement those things quite quickly, whereas over email you just feel like it could be a longer process, or then I think of something else quickly just before, and then the email threads are getting longer and longer, and it's all getting a bit sort of lost in the it's that kind of thing. Whereas sort of jumping on Zoom and sort of doing it there and then, you know, you know you're getting it done, and you can move on to the next thing quickly. And yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that just from my perspective, like, this isn't just about clients necessarily. Like, you know, we've just been on a call and gone through the month ends. Like, Matt's at a point in his progression where, like, I can't give him my ultra, like, top premium kind of priced service, because it's just with an empathy to where he's at in his progress. We'll be there probably at some point in a not too distant future, but it is about also optimizing the way that I work, as well as him having an optimized communication. And we jumped on there and literally just ran through the month end process. And I'm able to do that actually quicker and offer that service to businesses that may not otherwise be able to afford it, by going, well, if you come onto a call with me and do it live with me, it actually optimizes the process for me, because I can go back and forth with you about queries literally live as I do it. And that helps me. So if you're willing to do that, then we can actually lower the fee. So it's also optimized for me when we operate that way. You know, jumping onto a Zoom and showing them what I'm looking at and working through it with them. I mean, there are other technologies that allow me to do that. Obviously, people know me very well for using things like Stream Deck and stuff like that. So like on the fly automation, but combining, you know, different and optimized communication methods with other things we're optimizing, you know, it's not just about client experience. It also makes things better for us and more efficient for us as accountants.
Yeah, totally agree. Like, Matt, where do you see yourself in 2-3 years, and how do you see Dave to fit in that bigger picture?
Yeah, so we're sort of building it out at the moment. We're kind of starting to integrate forecasts into the reporting, and as we grow, that sort of stuff's going to become more and more important as we're looking to sort of raise money, and going on from there. It's just it's much the same, really, just in more detail. It naturally gets a little bit more complicated as we grow, but the foundations are there. We just need to sort of build on it. But yeah, I don't know, Dave, what do you think? Where are we going to be 3 years? What sort of additional elements do you think would require?
I think the answer here is, like, I don't know. And that's why the communication is important. Like, it's like, you know, where are you going to be? Well, I don't know. That's why it's important that we have touch points where I can stay in the loop. Like, things change all the time with Matt. You know, 1 minute I'm like, oh, you were doing this, and it's like, oh, we're having conversations about fundraising. You miss these things if you don't have those touch points and that more regular kind of chat. And it's just like on an email, and you're detached, and, you know, they don't feel like they can reach out to you because you haven't really endorsed a method where it encourages like regular communication. But when you have that, like, we just roll with it. We'll roll with it, and obviously we don't know. He could absolutely fly in the next 3 years, and we could have a business that has 100 employees in 3 years' time. But he could also have an amazing lifestyle brand, or he could, you know, it might not work out, or it might become a side hustle, and he goes back. We just don't know. And, you know, I can't even sit here and say I think he should build a business that has 100 people and scales, because it might not be the right thing for him. You know, and it's not just about building successful businesses, it's about doing the best thing for Matt, and his life and his wider life. So, you know, that's why I believe it's about human relationships. And, you know, accountant you know, small letters beneath that, I'm also a great accountant that can help you with that. But I'm not going to go and put my accountant hat on and go, let's build a massive business, if it's not right for Matt.
Yeah, you just did, like, hold his hand and help him out, but not necessarily.
This goes I just think accounting goes, you know, our relationship should go beyond just, I'll help you build something massive and successful and profitable. Like, but, you know, half the conversations we have, if not more, about, like, are you happy? What are you up to? Like, what's going on outside of the business? Like, how's the business fitting into that? Like, do you still want to do this? And what degree does the business fit into it? Okay, brilliant. You're still in. Brilliant. Let's push forward with that. You know, but sometimes we have conversations where we take stock and we go, to what degree do you want to, you know, to make this investment, or to make this change, or, you know, to make this sacrifice in the context of even just your wider life? I think it's important conversations. Like, you know, you can't make financial decisions and accounting decisions without understanding the wider picture.
Yeah, that's actually been a massive part of it in the last sort of 6 months or so for the stage that the business is at. We're sort of at that crunch point where it's like, you know, it's now 2 years old, you know, still not paying myself for much of a wage at all, and so but you also need to grow the company. So I'm sort of always asking Dave kind of his opinion on those sort of things, because it's a difficult thing to balance, sort of understanding and kind of thinking, right, are we in a good place with where the business is at? Does this seem okay for now? It's those sort of things. As a founder, I ask myself those questions all the time, like, are we in the right position? Is this going well? And just kind of touching in and talking through it has been really helpful.
Well, yeah, exactly. And by the way, obviously, this is very specific to, I guess, working directly with founders. And obviously, a lot of accountants will work with head of ops or, just contact or head of finances on the other side. But equally, it's the same. I've worked with head of operations where there's so much more going on with them than just the accounting. And it could be pressure from above and them needing help to deal with that. Or even, when I understand what they're going through, what the pressures are on them, like what is it that they want from me to make whether their output look better, or whatever their motivations are for wanting to get value from me and to work in a certain way. It's important to understand like that first before you start just going, right, here's what you need, and here's what it's going to look like from my side. Well, yeah, there are baseline things that I know as an accountant, founders or heads of finances or head of ops need, but there are little quirks depending on the character. There are times when it's important to stop and understand and reprioritize based on things that are happening in their life or within the hierarchy of the business or whatever, that I just think you miss if you process drive everything and don't have those fluid conversations.
Yeah, it's a really good point. Such a good point indeed. If you can describe each other just with one word, which is not client and accountant, what would that be?
I want to say there's one that describes. Well, I think techie, but that's not. I want to go techie. I want to say techie.
Yeah, and like it's hard, isn't it? I would for Matt, I would just say like friendly. I don't know why. Like just the first thing that comes to mind.
Friend, yeah. That makes a lot of sense. Like, I mean, because you've got a friendly relationship, you're actually friends, not just doing business together. So that's so
the character
important,
trait as well. It's what I would say. Matt is just it's a friendly guy, nice guy. That's important to me. That's important for me with all my clients. Many people know, and with me within the industry, and I always talk about the fact that my why is not building a massive practice. Inherently, that is probably going to happen at some point when we're working on those plans. And driving revenue, it's about building something, a blueprint to help businesses like Matt's significantly better, and he's been massively helpful in helping me to sort of build that out. I'm not perfect yet, and it's a safe space almost to be working with Matt to build that, and it's a mutual benefit. I'm able to help him at the same time. But for me, it's at the moment disproportionately about helping people that are kind and friendly, and that are, because I am sort of almost doing disproportionate levels of work for them and sometimes over servicing. But I don't mind if I enjoy what I do. But then I think, even though my motivations aren't the commercials, they will be eventually. And ultimately, the blueprint I'm building is being built ultimately to be a commercial blueprint. And I still feel like, there's probably going to be elements of what I set out to do that weren't intentional, which was, okay, I want to work with people that are kind, but what actually, if I can extract the things that have made that relationship good and helping me to create the right atmosphere for me to build this blueprint, well, what actually was good about that, and can we scale that as well? I think it's it's a big part of what inspires you to do good work, is like fundamentally caring about your client, and if you like them, then and you get on, then it's just comes naturally. It just comes naturally. I'm not going to look at the clock and go, oh mate, I can't stay on longer. Like, I'll want to. I naturally want to. I could speak to Matt all day, and not feel like and feel bad for even charging my time, because it's just hanging out with a friend. So yeah.
Would you say like this is very important, and like this is what makes you guys happy to have each other, like this pure relationship and friendship?
Yeah, totally. It's in business, like, especially when, as the size of the business I am now, like, you know, I'm in an office by myself, and being able to jump on a call with each mate, and it's great. It's sort of it's why I love what I do. It's building those sort of relationships into the fundamentals of the business is awesome.
It's so true, isn't it? I mean, I have the same thing, obviously, as an accountant. I feel lucky to have a clients and be able to have those Zoom calls and stuff, because I am here at the moment, I'm on my own as well. But you feel like you have a team, because you feel part of, like, having those fluid conversations. I feel part of the different teams that I'm talking to, and I wouldn't want it any other way. And when I'm talking to new clients, even, like, I always make sure that when I say, like, I'm going to do a project, I'm like, but this is how it's going to be, guys. Like, I'm going to be on a messaging service. I'm going to want to be, like, doing ad hoc web calls, and I'll make sure, like, look, this isn't going to, and they know that this isn't really going to be successful, really, in my opinion, unless the conversation is fluid, because it isn't. There are clients I have where, for whatever reason, I won't go and dissect why this is at this point, but whatever reason, the communication is via email. Like, the work I'm doing is not as good, because I just cannot get an understanding, and I get frustrated, and sometimes that sort of boils over into like, actually, like, genuine frustration on emails, in terms of the lack of transparency I have in their world. You know, they'll say things like, oh, we need this, we need that. I'm like, why do you need it so urgently? We're still waiting for the R&D calculation or something. And then I'll find out that they go, oh, I'm looking to get this mortgage, and I've got these. I'm like, great, that's what I need to know. But I don't know it, because we don't have that ongoing conversation, and I miss these things. And then I get frustrated, and then they get frustrated with me, and for no reason at all. And if I just, sometimes I just think clients don't understand how important it is for me as an accountant to understand these things, to make the right decisions for them, and to have their back.
Yeah. And it's all about keeping each other in the loop, isn't it? Which sometimes can be lost when you're, like, communicating via like email, and you just miss important stuff like that out. So
100%, like, tell me the stuff that's going on in your life. I'm not going to hassle you for things. I want to have empathy on every single level. You know, if you're not providing me information, but there's a reason why, then, like, tell me, and I'm going to push for it. You know, if you haven't got receipts or for whatever reason, because of this, that, and the other, or, you don't want a management accounts this month, and you just want me to help you with the fundraising or something that's way more important right now. If you don't tell me there's a fundraise going on, then I can't put myself into a situation ready to drop everything for you. And then when you ask me to drop everything for you, I can't. And then you get annoyed and I get annoyed. And it's just, these things are, if I know, for instance, Matt says, like, I'm working on this bit of fundraising, of course, we're trying to move forward his forecasting. But when it becomes urgent, because it's super priority, and I've been made aware of that, it's more easy for me to deliver, to prioritize.
Yeah. Fantastic. Like, I don't want to take too much longer of your time. I'm very, very grateful for already giving me so much of your time, and this has been a wonderful discussion. I've got one last question for Matt, which is, to you, what does having a good accountant feels like?
Feels like it feels like you've got control, I think, is the best way to describe it. It feels like that you know where you're at. You can, it doesn't, you don't feel lost is kind of the feeling. You can look forward with confidence and know that you're moving in the right direction.
Love that answer. Love that. Thank you so much for today. I'm just going to wrap this up, because I'm very appreciative and aware of the fact that you've got a lot of other things going on, and very, very much appreciate you. I will keep you in the loop, keep you updated about the interview, where is it going, and all the rest of it. And I hope, Matt, Dave has probably already spoken to you about this, that we've got a little recording, which we're probably going to post on YouTube, and maybe a couple of snippets on LinkedIn. But do let us know if you're happy with that. And I'll probably have to transcribe some of it into a blog article, so I will keep you updated. It will probably help so many people. So thank you for that.
Yeah, sure, no worries.
Appreciate it. Yeah, and have a good one, guys.
Yeah, enjoy the rest of your Friday and your weekend.
Yeah, Matt, I'll be in touch, Matt, as well, on the numbers. See you later.
Yeah, speak soon. Thank you. Bye.